So happy to have you here today. I watched your video probably last week, so just a few days ago, and I had to reach out to you. And typically, it's actually my husband and I that interview our guests, but this is like mama bear to mama bear. I needed to reach out to you and have this conversation, an important one. Thanks so much for being here. I think it's really important to get the word out of what moms are experiencing, what we're seeing our kids go through right now, and why we're being called to action. And I'll start with your bio. Najla is a mother of two girls, ages 7 and 3, a wife, a full-time professional and entrepreneur. As a professional makeup artist and top leader in her business, she has built a following and social media presence focused on beauty and self-care. But recently, her passion and effort have shifted to using her platform to support and empower the many women like herself who have been struggling through the heartbreak of this pandemic. She hopes that her voice will inspire parents to turn their fear into faith and awaken their thoughts to consider the repercussions of the fear-mongering and lockdowns for her children and many others. Thank you so much for being here, Najla.
Thank you so much for having me, Taya.
So yeah, I thought we would just, I will share your video probably a few minutes in, but I just wanted to kind of check in with you first and just let us know what's been going on. Like you have the two girls, 7 and 3. What has their experience looked like since the lockdowns began last March?
So last January, I'll start by saying that we had the privilege of taking the most amazing cruise. We went on a Royal Caribbean cruise and we brought the girls, and it was absolutely incredible. On the way back, the news started talking about this virus, and the fear started when we got to the Toronto airport, and we started becoming fairly fearful. Now, my husband and I are not or have never been anti-vaccine parents. We're very, we live our lives with a lot of faith in God and instilling that in our children, and we believe in values of kindness and respecting people and their choices. And so in the beginning, I'd have to say that we were very, very scared, and we were only kind of leading our children in what we knew. And sometimes that's really difficult because we weren't informed, and our eyes, I would say, were fairly shut. And this was the case for about 2 months. And we are very family oriented, so family oriented. And it hit us when we were avoiding our parents. We were seeing them through a window. We were afraid. And then I'm not even sure what hit us, but we asked ourselves what exactly we were afraid of. And it's so funny because it sounds so simple. What were we afraid of? We were afraid of the flu, it seemed like, and we were otherwise healthy. Our children were otherwise healthy. And so we were kind of demonstrating to our children that we were afraid, we were dangerous, we were a threat. And so for that 2 months, it was really difficult because our children were seeing this and we weren't even conscious of it, right? We were just trying to figure out how to manage everything. Now, I have a senior management job in HR. And so I don't talk a lot about that because I like to keep it completely separate from my social media platform for various reasons. And my husband has the same type of position in his in the corporate world on his end. So we were working from home and we were trying to figure it out. Now, for me, I felt that it was kind of my duty to take some time off work and tend to the kids because they were home full time. They required a lot of attention. It was very difficult because we were trapped, essentially. And I was never a stay-at-home mom. I've always been very, very ambitious and hardworking, although I've always felt it so important to use my spare time as quality time for my kids. Like I said, we're very family-oriented. So I use that time to really solely focus on being a mom and doing the activities and stuff. And then I grew kind of tired, and my children were growing tired, and we were all sick of each other and the four walls in our house, and we were dealing with it okay, but we said enough is enough. And we said, you know, I don't think that the repercussions of a strong strain of the flu are worth our mental health, all of us. And so,
And
not long
when
after
did you decide that? Like how long, time span wise?
May. So
May.
this started in March, and by May, the sun was out. We wanted to leave. We wanted to get out, and we wanted to enjoy life. And we just felt like we were really deprived of what we essentially live for, making memories with friends, seeing family.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt because we're going to
That's
have
okay.
listeners tuning in from all parts of the world. So, as far as what was going on in Ontario at that time, how did it change from the time that you returned from your vacation in January up until May? Like, how did conditions transpire that you kind of decided, okay, enough is enough? What was going on exactly?
March 16th, I believe, is when the shutdown occurred. So that weekend was actually supposed to be the birthday weekend of my daughter, and we had plans to celebrate. All of the parents canceled, and we were afraid as well. So we canceled with the bowling alley, and essentially everything got shut down, like actually shut down. Where I work, we were all told not to come into the office. My husband's work was told not to come into the office. And so everything was locked down. If you had to leave, it was for essentials only. So Walmart was open and the pharmacies were open. We were shopping with gloves on and masks and the whole thing, leaving our groceries in the garage for 24 hours, spraying things down, like you name the craziness. And we were there. We were really there.
And the kids were doing online learning at that point?
No, at that point, they were just putting education on hold, and it was on hold again. And it was my daughter's first year of kindergarten. So she only actually got 6 months of kindergarten, and then it was on hold and on hold some more. And then they never ended up going back here. And by May, I would say between March and May, things started slowly opening up, and they started slowly talking about opening things back up. And I may have my timeline mixed up, but I'm pretty sure it was about 2 months in. We went through a really serious 4 weeks, and then it was a gradual, and then it was open up, no, shut back down, open up, shut back down. So I don't really know. And by May, we have gorgeous backyard with a pool. So by that point, we didn't even care what was going on outside of the house. We were in the backyard or bike riding and doing that kind of stuff. So it wasn't affecting us too much. Summer came and restaurants were open up on the patios. And so we started kind of enjoying ourselves in that way. And then a new school year came, and I had actually switched my daughter's schools. Because she was in an English school, and we decided to start her in a French school. So she started grade 1 in a school that we had never entered. We had never met anyone at the school, parents included. She didn't know anyone, and neither did we. So that's how our September started. So September came, and, we went through the motions of continuing school, and we decided that we would continue to have our 7-year-old in school and our 3-year-old in daycare. Because we had to work. We just did not have a choice. I exhausted a lot of my vacation and sick days. And so it was back to work, and we keep trying to carry on as normal. We keep trying to do business as usual. And so that's where we're at right now. Now in September, when my daughter went back to school, it was fine for us because she's in grade 1. So I live in Ottawa, Gatineau. So I live in Gatineau. I'm actually on the Quebec side.
Oh, okay.
And so I can share two perspectives. On the Quebec side, grades 1 to 4 do not have to wear masks in classrooms and outdoors, only in the common areas like hallways. So it's very minimal. In Ontario, where most of my family and friends are, it is all the time. It is grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, up until 6, and in high schools all the time with masks. So for me, I decided to keep my daughter in school until it got too crazy. And so even thus far, it hasn't gotten too crazy. Now we've had different issues with bullying and just some things that mainly revolve around this pandemic in general. We were told by the behavior technician, and
Behavior
then the whole,
technician?
yeah,
Behavior technician.
yes,
Really
yeah.
interesting. My
So
background was in psychology. I hadn't heard of behavioral technician before.
that's what they call the lady at the school who deals with the children who have behavior issues or deals with the bullying. And it was just getting really bad. And I was told actually by the behavior technician, I'm calling her that, pretty awesome title, right?
Yeah.
That this year, out of 20 years in her job, she has never seen as much conflict, as much sadness, as much hurt and pain among the children in the school. And she believes that is because, these children are kept in this small little bubble with the same kids day in and out, and they don't have a lot of options. They can't really run away from their problems, and they're just kind of always butting heads the same way, I guess, we would if we're stuck with each other all the time. So I waited a little too long, I think, to put my foot down. And I think the thing that we both have in common is my platform on social media has always been very bright and bubbly and empowering. That's what I do. That's what I believe. I believe I serve the purpose of encouragement and inspiration. And so I am very much a positive person. I like to bring light. I like to talk about what we can control and who we are meant to be in this world, and how capable we are in business and as women and as mothers. And I think that I was really afraid for a long time to actually come out and speak my mind, because it could be detrimental to my business, the same way it could be detrimental for healthcare practitioners to say what's on their mind, right? And so I really struggled with it, to be honest with you. And my heart was heavy for a very long time. And I just I asked for a lot of guidance. I prayed on it a lot. And all I came out with was, I'm a mother first, I'm a mother first. And I don't want to get emotional. I'm so sorry if I get emotional.
Okay.
I'm a mother first. And so I really had to think long and hard about what I was doing and what I was prepared to say and how I was going to go about it. And I had, friends, and sometimes my husband, who was saying, is it really worth it? Naj, you might really regret. And honestly, I kept coming out with the same outcome. Like, I'm a mother first. I'm a mother first. And if I can't find my people through wanting to stand up for my kids and wanting to do what's right, then I shouldn't be on social media.
Hanging around with the wrong people.
So it's funny, because when I would say something, tidbits of information, and I am very careful because I'm extremely compassionate and empathetic. So I'm very careful with how I deliver, because I would never want to hurt anybody, and I would never want to offend anybody. And I got to a point where, and I think I may have said it in my video, where I felt like people were talking about, anti-maskers and people who didn't take this as seriously, quote unquote, and saying that, we were disrespectful. And I felt like I was disrespected for a year. Like, I gave you a year of disrespect. I gave you the 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And then I gave you another month. And then I gave you another 10 months. Okay. And then I gave you an extra month as a bonus. And here I am. And I've just had enough. 12 months is way too long. I should have really snapped a long time ago. And I had just had enough. And I had enough of people telling me that this was okay for my kids. I had enough people telling me, that my kids should wear masks in a store. I'm sorry. I don't believe we were created for this. I don't believe our children should have to deal with this. And my daughter, who was taking music lessons, had to wear a mask. And how sad I was for my daughter to come and tell me, Mama, I don't feel good. When I wear that mask, I don't feel good in my music. And I took her out. I had to take her out of that class. And that's a privilege, and should be a right, the right to really educate our children where we want to see them educated. But I couldn't get the exemption of the mask. And, the doctor, Anyways, the doctor's another story, but my doctor told me make a game of it, so that she'll want to wear her mask. And I just about hung up the phone on my doctor when he said that, because it's not a game and there's nothing funny or fun about it. The kids don't think so. I absolutely don't think so. And I know for some people it sounds dramatic when we say it's child abuse, but I can't think of another word for it.
I'll show your video just after this, but I also called it that. In BC, Ontario, I think Ontario and Quebec specifically, they have it worse in the country right now. In BC, even when we speak to friends and family who are within the educational system, they have a hard time believing the stories that we share with them, which is the main reason as to why I decided that I needed to speak with you and share your story, because I think if it's happening to one child, it's happening to one too many children. And it's not okay. Like we're not going to wait until this happens to affect our own personal children. We need to actually step up and say this shouldn't happen to any child, period. And I think what happened, let me think, how long was it? It wasn't too long, probably about a month ago. I went to book a haircut and get the girls' bangs trimmed. And the hairdresser said, at this point, it's going to be masks for your children. I said, well, they're only 3 and 4. Like, why does that's not even required by these bodies that are passing down these rules right now. And they said, no, because of the safety of our staff, this is what we're requiring. And I wrote her a letter, and I also pointed her to the WHO and the CDC, as well as Health Canada. I attached a few sites from theirs as well, indicating that for children is not mandated, I think, up until the age of 5. And anyway, they still weren't comfortable with it. And I did say to them, this is depriving children of oxygen is child abuse. And I don't know how you're going to justify it, but if you're looking at the science, and I'm not talking about the science that mainstream media is pushing out, but it's actual science. The numbers don't add up. It's not pointing to a pandemic. And there's no way I'm going to force a mask on my child. And I will try to see if I can pull up your video, the video that I watched originally of yours. Bear with me.
And for those of you who know me, you know that I show up often in different capacities for different reasons. And today I just want to let you know that I'm showing up as a mother. I'm not showing up as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, as a manager, as a wife, as anything other than a mother. So I really would love for this to be shared with as many parents as possible, with as many mothers as possible, with as many guardians as possible, because I felt it quite important. I had a hard time sleeping last night. My heart is really, really heavy, and I'm actually going to try to hold back tears during this video, okay? I also will be using different words to describe different things, and the reason why I'll do that is because I don't want anything to get X'd out. I think that the message that I want to convey is very clear, and I would love if you have a platform to speak to people. I would love for you to even summarize this video and talk about it. Summarize this video and say something. It's really, really important that we do. And it really hit me yesterday when I saw this. It really hit me that something needs to be done, and it needs to be done now, and it needs to be done by us. And so I want to begin by saying that I know this past year has been very difficult, and a lot of us have had maybe ups and downs in our opinions and our thoughts. And so this is not for me to be right. This is not to argue or debate anything at all. I promise you, this is not to be disrespectful. This is not to be rebellious. This is to be a concerned parent. And there are a lot of parents that are only doing what they think is right, because they may not have another perspective, because they may not have a little bit more information. And for me personally, I'm looking at facts a little bit, but I'm really honestly going by common sense. I'm really honestly going by what makes sense. And if I cannot make it make sense, then I have to stop. I have to stop and question, and I have to stop and reevaluate my direction. And most of you know me to be a fairly religious person. Like, I live very much by faith and not by fear. So I do understand, and I do respect, and I actually sympathize with parents who have been living by fear this past year and have been making decisions, parenting decisions based on that. I don't blame you, and I'm not here to judge you. I know it's been very difficult for us to put the pieces together and for us to really know what's going on. We have no one to trust, and the people that we are supposed to trust are not really coming through. And then the people that we're calling crazy, they're the ones who have been right thus far. So I am not a theorist or any sort of that. I'm really just a parent going by what makes sense and common sense, combining that to make the best decisions for my kids. So I want to talk about, first and foremost, I'm going to repeat that I would love for you to share this. I need as many parents to see this as possible, especially in Canada, okay? So yesterday, in Ontario, a lot of parents received a letter electronically stating that over the course of a weekend, next weekend, they are recommending that families go to the clinic and get verified. Okay, so here's where I'm using the different words. So to go get verified. They are requesting and suggesting and recommending that whether you are healthy or unhealthy, you go. That whether you are displaying signs of any sort of illness or not, you go. All families and all their children. Why? Why? Please. Because I am not here to disrespect. I am not here to argue. I am not here to debate, but ask yourself, why? And if you've been just winging the whole parenting thing, then this is where you step in. This is where you put on your cape, and this is where you say something and you do something. Because I am praying so hard that majority of people use this moment as their aha moment, as their wake up moment, as their moment to kind of look at things and be like, you know what? Now is when I really need to step in and be a parent. Because maybe we've just been sitting back waiting for things to get bad enough for us to speak up, bad enough for us to go rawr, get our claws out. And it hasn't, maybe for some people. For me, it's been a long time coming. It's been very difficult. And then now's the moment where I'm like, slow down. Because why? There is no good reason. Why healthy people? Why healthy people would you go down to get verified? Why? Especially because they're calling it very quick. So they're going to use the verification that's quick. And that one has actually more room to be inaccurate. So why would we go add to the numbers if we don't have to? Why would they want more people? They're worried about the healthcare places being overcapacitated, but the clinic, we're gonna send all the people from all the schools there. And no. Listen, I'm not a mathematician. That doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. So I am asking parents to now step into a place where you are now going to start critical thinking, and you're going to start evaluating, opening your eyes and kind of looking around at what's going on and weighing out the pros and cons. I honestly am sad at the fact that over the past year, there's been so much hatred and judgment and this person against this person, and separation and division, when only unity, only brotherhood and unity can conquer, right? So it's been very sad. But in this moment, I want to just I want to just say something, and it's not to blame anyone, because we're all trying to blame someone. And I get it. We're trying to blame the people who are not wearing the things, right? We're saying that you're the reason, okay? But in this moment, consider this. The people not wearing the things, we're now watching this, and we're seeing a whole bunch of healthy parents and their families and their children go and contribute to the rise in numbers. The rise in numbers is what causes the panic, right? The rise in numbers is what causes the fear, okay? To make those like fear-based decisions and that hatred and that judgment, it all comes in when people get scared and they start to panic. Those numbers rising are not from the people not doing this, I promise you, because the people not doing this don't believe in heading over there and contributing to that. So trust me, that's not the problem. The problem is the amount of people going there, contributing to those numbers, right? Because how else are decisions being made? They're being made based on numbers. And the problem is that nobody's been able to confirm that the numbers are 100% accurate. So why would we do that? Why would we give that ammunition? Why would we support the shutting down of our life, of our jobs, of our schools, of our economy? Why would we do that if, why? No, there's no if, I'm sorry. Period. Why? Why? We deserve to live. We deserve to love. We deserve to celebrate. We deserve to gather. Our children deserve a proper education. Our children do not deserve the psychological abuse that comes with covering them up and covering up the people around them and making them scared of germs and I can't say that word, making them scared of germs and illness and all this stuff. It is not fair. It is inhumane. And for the past year, we have given our time. We have given our compliance. We have given everything. And now is enough. It is literally 1 year ago today. And it is enough. It is enough. We have suffered enough. We have struggled enough. Parents have struggled. These children, listen, if you're a parent, then I know you're living and breathing for your children. And we're living and breathing to see them live and breathe happily and healthy for a very long time. So it's time to put our big people panties on and really step up and say something, really come forward and do something, because this is not right. It's not okay. It is not okay. And it is about time. It's time to come forward. It's time to come together. Nothing will change. Movement cannot happen by one individual. Movement happens when individuals come together. And I'm not telling you to do anything crazy. And I'm not suggesting you go out into the streets and do anything nuts. All I'm saying is consider not going to get verified if you don't need to. And here's the other thing. Even if you think you need to, there is no antibiotic waiting for you at that clinic. There is no cure waiting for you at that clinic. So if you were to just stay home, recover, take some vitamins, drink a lot of fluids, and treat yourself the way you would if you had the FLU, then you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. Now, for parents who are like, okay, but Najla, listen, I'm scared. What can I do? I'll tell you, okay? I'll tell you what you can do. And I'm no expert. I'll tell you what I'm doing for my kids, and it's been working thus far. They're washing their hands. That is normal behaviors. Please continue to encourage normal behaviors, okay? I do not encourage my children to cover up. I can't do that to them. I did it to them in the beginning, and I could not as a mother look at my children's faces being covered. I'm sorry, I couldn't do that. And I understand that if you're doing that, I understand it's coming from a place of maybe sadness or fear. So I am with you. I know that we're all just doing what we're all just trying to do the right thing, trying to do the best thing. And I get that. And I stand with you as mothers and as fathers. I stand with you. I know it's been very, very difficult, and not everybody has the time to maybe get that education to find out, what's really going on. And I don't know. I actually don't know what's really going on. I just know that there was a plan a long time ago, maybe 6 months ago, that was leaked. And it's funny because it seemed crazy when I saw it. I'm like, yeah, okay. And everything has happened. So
that was the video that I watched where I fell in love with you. and I had to reach out to you and get you on this platform to share your story. And just as we were sharing before we started to record, this AIJ platform that is kind of the sister platform to Dr. Jason Loken, my husband's Inspire Health podcast. We created this platform in order to host transformational retreats. So he's in the health care industry, and I typically teach yoga, meditation, movement, and we combine our efforts and our experiences, and we create weekend-long or week-long retreats for people to come, and we dive into the trauma, we do shadow work, we create a safe space in order for people to begin to shed old patterns and begin to uncover their true potential, who they are in all their gifts and all their glory. And so our platform obviously is face-to-face, and we had 2 retreats last year that were canceled, obviously because of COVID. And what I realized, like you, is that I felt a real desire, not even a desire, it wasn't even a choice. It was like I had to act. There was this big push urge within me that much more feverish than my husband, where I had to act and had to act now, using whatever platforms, whatever voice that I had, and whatever capacity that I was able to share information and to inspire people and to encourage them to ask questions, just like you did. That was so beautifully stated within your video. And we spoke with on the Inspire Health podcast, we spoke with Dr. Christiane Northrup. I'm not sure if you know of her, but she basically said, it's the mama bears. It's the mama bears that, when you go into a forest, who's going to be the loudest and scariest? It's the mama bears. And I'm seeing this so clearly now, and it's not at all to discredit all the wonderful men out there, including my own husband, who's contributing in a big way. But I really feel like at the forefront of overhauling this madness that is taking place right now is the fearless mama bears who are going to say no, not to our children, not to any of our children. We're done. We're not participating. So I wanted to ask you, where are your kids now? How is their everyday life going? How is your life going? Are you still working outside of the home, or have you adjusted that routine?
So for my kids, my daughter who is 7, she's still in school. My daughter who is 3, she's still in daycare. And until there is any sort of change in either making a test mandatory for any symptoms, or if they decide that my daughter who's in grade 1 has to wear a mask in class or even out in the schoolyard, I will pull them out. So I'm ready to homeschool. Now, like I said, so I work from home still. So I've adjusted to working from home. I'm also, I work in direct sales. So I'm a leader. I do a lot of trainings. I do a lot of motivational speaking and that type of thing. I've taken a back seat almost to that because I don't have it in me. It's not there right now. That motivation to talk to women about being strong in business, because right now, kind of like you, I'm being brought every single day to open my mouth, but it has nothing to do with business. It has everything to do with my children's future. And if there are parents listening, and if there's anything that I can say that is so embedded in my being right now to tell people, parents especially, is that children are a blessing, and not everyone has that privilege, but we were blessed to be parents. And I think that maybe because my husband does feel strongly about that, and he's not very vocal, and I'm not even sure where this fearlessness came from to speak up and have, this power in my passion almost. I have no idea where it comes from. but I know that children are a blessing, and maybe because we've carried them, maybe because we've, maybe because they were given to us. Being a mother is like something so special, not to discredit fathers in any way, but there's that maternal instinct. They don't call it that for no reason. And if there's anything that I want people to hear, is that we can create any world for our kids. We can literally make up anything we want and they'll believe it. Okay. We can make magic, right? We can encourage them to believe in unicorns, mermaids, all of the things that we know, but believing in that magic is very important. We can create that. And what I'm seeing too much of right now, and why my heart is so heavy, and I have a hard time sleeping, and I have a hard time going about my day without thinking about it, is that so many parents, without maybe even realizing, are creating a world for their kids that I promise you they would not want for their kids. They're creating a world of fear and a world of evil almost, right? Because all of these things, they are not righteous in any way. They are not humane in any way. So we can, in a world where we can create any environment we want for our kids, we need to really think about what we've created and know that it's not too late to undo that fear. And it's not too late to change direction. It doesn't mean that you have to become a conspiracy theorist. I truly am not. I have no idea, okay, about the actual stats and the facts and the whole background of all of that. I just know what makes sense and doesn't make sense when it comes to my kids. And the reason why I talk about Ontario a lot, by the way, even though I live in Quebec, is because we're a 7-minute drive away, and all my family and friends are there. So all the children that I love, my nieces, my nephews, my little cousins, my best friend's daughters, they're all in Ontario. So that letter that I was talking about in my video, that was sent to all of them. And they don't have a platform, right? They don't have a following. I've built this following, and perhaps I built this following for reasons of beauty and self-care and to even profit my business. But money won't make this go away, right? And money is not going to save my children. So if my voice can be heard by anyone, even one, like you said, because one child is too many, then it was really important for me to get that message out, because many are unaware. I don't believe that parents are maliciously making decisions. I believe that they are making decisions because they are fearful. Mm-hmm. And why wouldn't they be? Mainstream media is really, really doing a great job at the fear mongering and all of this. And people are still in isolation, and people are still keeping their children away from other children. And the more we do this and the more we contribute to the fear, the worse it is for our children. So it's never too late to make the change. It's never too late to just consider that perhaps there is more damage being done with encouraging that fear than if we actually just step back, calm down a little bit, and look at, like you said, what's making sense and what isn't, because the numbers don't add up. I have many friends in healthcare. The hospitals are not over capacity. They're not full. And just a little tidbit of information, our children's hospital, it was confirmed to me, I know 2 people that work in there, and in 12 months, there has been one positive confirmed case of a child in the children's hospital in 1 year, 12 months. Everything else has been negative. So we're shutting schools down, and we're masking the children, and we're really causing some psychological damage, and we're weakening their minds and immune systems by isolating them, by instilling fear in them. And we have to ask ourselves, for what reason? If it doesn't make sense, everybody who hears this needs to stop and just think, does it make sense? And I know BC is different. I have some friends in BC who say, like, I can't believe this is happening for you guys. And even in my local Walmart, when they really taped up the bras and underwear. We could not buy bras and underwear. You could only buy food. And I posted that in my Instagram stories, and my girlfriend in BC was like, is that real?
Well, Najla,
Yeah.
we actually moved from Ontario to BC last year. So we were able to see what was happening in Ontario. And then as we drove literally through the provinces, we saw the differences through the different provinces and the towns that we visited. And then we saw the difference in what it was in BC. And I think we can rest assured that whatever is going on in Ontario is going to roll out in BC because that's been the pattern, right? So I think if we're, regardless of where we are right now, we need to connect. We need to have these conversations. We need to share these conversations. We need to ask more questions because you're right. If it ultimately does not make sense, then we should not be participating in these games. And I wanted to pull up also. So we're constantly being given. So people email us, or we're on these certain platforms as well that people have invited us to. And are you
Oh,
able to see this one?
I am. I
So
am.
this is the child with the hands, right? Correct? Is that the one that you're seeing
Mhm.
on the screen? Okay.
Yes.
So this is a picture of my best friend's son who is being required to wash his hands to the point of them being raw, chapped, and painful. He cries every time they take him to the sink. This is what's going on in Ontario. And here's another one that I will show you.
I want to, while you're grabbing it, I'd like to contribute to that. On my Facebook, or maybe it was on my Instagram, I shared a picture of my daughter's hands. So my daughter is prone to eczema, and this has always been the case. I've always taken such great care of it. Now, last week, she came home and her hands looked like they were burned all over her hands. They were chapped and they looked like they were burned. And then I said, no more. I wrote a letter to the school and I said, you will not encourage my daughter to use hand sanitizer. Her hands are burnt. They were scabbing and it was so terrible. And my daughter said to me, let me not bawl my eyes out as a mother hearing this, because we keep saying it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, right? Because we're trying to encourage our kids to, be strong through hard times, because we want them to come out of this stronger. And I kept saying, you know what, baby, it's okay, just use a tiny bit, because we're just going to follow the rules for now. And I didn't realize how much time had passed. And then finally I said, you know what, it is not okay. It is not okay. And what kind of parent am I for my daughter to tell me that day, it's okay, mama, I just use a little bit and I just let it burn until it stops. I know. Oh my God, my eyes. Oh my God. I had a hard time sleeping that night. And that's when I said, you know what, baby, mommy's here for you and I'm going to do everything I can for you and I'll protect you. Don't worry. Okay. So your hands will be fine. I started, using some soothing creams and different eczema creams, covering them up with gloves when she goes to bed to just let them really heal. And they did. And so I sent her to school with some special hand soap, like hypoallergenic eczema hand soap. And I said, you will wash your hands like a normal person. There's no reason to use the alcohol-based stuff. So I feel for parents. And you know what? It's funny because you'll see a post like that. There's always somebody who wants to comment, oh, I know of a good cream. You're
Right.
missing the
Yeah,
point.
absolutely.
You're truly point. If you're here to recommend cream, that's really not what we need right now, right? We need people to use their common sense and know that our children don't deserve it. If that's not abuse, I don't know what is. If that was inflicted by a parent, that'd be a different story, I'd say, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is not okay. This is how kids in Ontario, school kids, little kids in the playground. But really, I really wanted to show a few of these pictures that parents have either been sending us or I'm seeing on the platform so that people are aware that this is happening in Canada. This is another one. Yeah, so this is kindergarten class. And again, the people whom we know in BC have trouble time believing this, but this is the reality of what's going on in Ontario right now. And there's one more here. This one had me in tears. So this Nixie Day. She's in one of the groups on Facebook called Free the Kids that I'm a part of as well. I sat with my son for 40 minutes outside of his school. He was breaking down and pleading with me to not make him go. This is not the first time this has happened. He says he doesn't have any real friends, that he can't see them, that nobody plays with him for real. It didn't take long for me to realize that he was talking about everyone wearing masks. He doesn't feel like he can connect with his teachers, his peers. My son is the most social butterfly around. Last year in preschool, his teacher named him the friend maker. 5 years old, wearing masks for 7 hours a day, both inside and now outside, isn't right. Not to mention he comes home with his mask and his backup mask soaking wet. He nervously chews away at them. They come home dirty and filled with holes he can chew. He has chewed into them. Yes, of course, we have worked hard to encourage him not to do this. This has caused him to have very bad skin infections early on, where I had to keep him home for over a week so it could be treated and healed properly. This is psychologically damaging to our children. I am so tired of this. I am heartbroken. I have decided to pull him out of school. I can't send him another day like this. I'm hoping to find him a small group or learning pod where he can learn and socialize in a healthy environment, mask-free. So these are the stories that I've been seeing that have caused me to squirm in my skin and do anything and everything that I can to bring more awareness to this so that we can put a stop to it, to basically say, no, we're not doing this anymore. And it really, I feel like it's really as simple as that. It's not complicated. What we're doing right now is my 16-year-old son, we actually flew him here. He chose to live with his dad when we decided to migrate over to BC. So he's been doing schooling in Ontario this year. And when he's here with us right now, so it's online schooling, and I would personally prefer homeschooling, especially based on the content that I'm seeing him cover within the school. Just, looking over his shoulder and checking in with the curriculum. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think realistically what they're teaching within the school system is worthy of our attention, our focus, our energy. I think we as human beings have a much greater capacity as far as our creativity, our vision, our potential within our imagination. So, however, he's 16, he has a say right now as far as which direction he wants to move in. But as far as with our 3-year-old and our 4-year-old, we're homeschooling them. And exactly what was mentioned in that previous post there, I'm keeping my ears and eyes open to see if there's a group that we can get together, like community, within our community of like-minded individuals, then how sweet would it be to actually gather our children and offer them the curriculum and the learnings, where they would also have social contact, social interaction, playtime, and it would be us as a collective of parents taking care of our own children in the way that we deem most appropriate, most conducive to their learning, to their development. So that's kind of a vision that I've had actually for a few years now. And I feel like I actually had that vision 3 years ago because it's meant to be played out somehow in our current state of affairs.
There are, I'm beginning, so I'm investigating further, just like you, because I feel like I need that too. And I'm coming across some Facebook groups that were put together for awakened parenting, awakened parents, who are like-minded. And then, you can chat with people and find out where they're from. And to be honest with you, I actually joined one today, and I put a post up and I said, I'm looking for like-minded parents in my area because I'm setting up my children's environment for if and when things get crazy again. Because if they shut everything down again, like I said, my true motto right now is either make it make sense or business as usual. So business as usual for me is, hey, let's get together. And I have friends. I'm not I'm not looking to expand my friend circle, but I am looking to get to know other like-minded people, because it's only when you engage in those conversations and you hear those conversations and you overhear them, that it really does awaken you. And once you're awake, there is no turning back. Once you know what you know, there is no going back on that. And so I need those connections, and I need that network more than I've needed anything in network marketing, because all the money in the world won't change my purpose. And I think once you become a mother, everything is so different, but it's so clear. And I really believe that we have the power to nurture what we believe is best for our children. Now, when I say that, I feel kind of weird saying it, because I believe that there are people who believe the opposite of me, who feel like they're doing just that. They feel like they're nurturing. And when I look at the pictures that you put up, I feel nauseous, and I do feel sick to my stomach. Mm-hmm. It truly bothers me, and I would say angers me, that I know some people look at those pictures and they don't really see what I see. Mm-hmm. And they don't really, they'll almost justify it. They'll say, well, we're keeping people safe. If you call that safety, if you call that health and safety, there's something, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude when I say this, but there's something maybe wrong mentally with that idea, with that notion that
I'm puzzled by that too, Najla. And I mean, we don't have a TV in the house, so we don't get exposed to. The last time I watched a television program was probably maybe last March, when I went to get my nails done. And maybe last March, it was when Trudeau came back with his wife from the UK, and she supposedly had the virus. I was in the nail salon for an hour and a half, just over an hour and a half. The entire time, Channel 24, which is, for those of you who are unaware, Channel 24 is, they play the news all the time, every day, every minute of the day. The whole entire time, COVID, 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 numbers increasing. You should be in fear. These are dangerous. Like that level of, and because my background, and maybe this is where my interest is generally, kind of understanding the psyche, understanding how different things affect us and our motivation to do certain things. But my background in psychology, I remember my professor specifically saying, you know, we covered as far as the benefits of psychology, and then he went into a chapter of, now let's understand the dark side of psychology. And I tell you, since last year, I feel like what I'm seeing being rolled out, I'm almost, I keep thinking back to my Professor Shanker at York University. I keep thinking this is what he was talking about as far as the dark side of psychology, where they're trying to make an impression on you based on these false numbers or irrelevant numbers. And none of it sits well with me. It's exactly what you said. It's this irky feeling, like it's this feeling of not feeling good in your body. And that's feedback for me. I think that's the most viable and most reliable feedback for me, is my body's intelligence. And mothers know this innately and acutely. And I also feel like it's something that we can definitely be conditioned or indoctrinated out of. But it's something that we can reconnect to if we just, you know, spent a little bit more time in nature, reconnected, asked ourselves questions, what's important to me, what's real to me. And those are things that I think we would all benefit from, like humanity as a whole would benefit from, if we kind of went back to that. It's like, what is this really feeling in my body? Like, can I give myself some quiet time away from the busyness, away from the digital devices? What is really sitting within my body? How am I processing this? How does this feel for me in my physical body? And I think we would get a lot of clues as to what we could then be okay with, and what we can start to say no to, very strongly no, especially when it involves our children, for sure.
I think a lot of us are using this time to discover our growth, and maybe people have not been growing. I know that I'm always focused on growth, and this type of growth is very different for me, right? Because my growth has been so centered on business and income and influence, right? And this is a whole different type of influence. I don't even want to say that I fell into this, because I believe it was purposeful. But I'm trying to manage it. It's heavy feelings. It's heavy on our heart. And I know I'm not alone. And I know that in posting, and I've just started posting, and it's incredible the amount of women who have messaged me. I've gotten no backlash, actually, thankfully. And all these women that are telling me, thank you for speaking up, because I cannot, because they are nurses, because they are educators, because they are at risk of reprisal and reprimand if they say anything. And I get that. I do get that. And I would never recommend that a woman who is working to provide for her family, or who has gone through the motions of an education and a degree, set herself up to give more control to this situation than it actually deserves, because these women are working really, really hard. And these men are working really, really hard too. And not many people can say anything. And I totally get that. I really get that. And I sympathize. I really do. So I feel that if anybody, anywhere is in a situation or a position to say something, it doesn't have to be on social media. It can just be a comment. Like today in the grocery store, I overheard a man say, and it was none of my business, a man say, if I was to go into a bank 5 years ago with a mask on, I want to know what he said that. And I laughed, and I was about, I don't know, maybe 15 meters away from him. And I actually said over the cashes, I was like, I hear you, buddy. I hear you. Just that for somebody to say that out loud, it's really important that we encourage that discussion or that thought, because maybe that cashier will think to herself, yeah, it's kind of weird, right? It's kind of weird that we're all covered up, So I think that if we can just awaken, or we can just give the thought, the slight possibility to anyone, I think that alone could be, our purpose.
I think it's so funny that a rebellious act is just speaking your mind these days.
Yeah.
Like in a world where literally our mouths are being covered, and censorship is so prevalent everywhere on all sorts of different levels. I mean, even utilizing this platform to have these conversations and not my husband's platform is because he's being censored by his regulatory body. And I can say that here. But it's pretty intense in Canada. And as far as the top-down control that the professionals are receiving. And so thank you for this conversation. I think it's a really, really important one, and we'll do everything at our end to help it go wide. And if you're listening in, please do, we'll be posting this on YouTube, we'll be posting this on all our social media platforms. Please please share. We're going to try to utilize the algorithms in whichever way we can so that this reaches out to as many people that need to hear this, so that they can feel validated and supported and inspired in whatever capacity that they need to at this time. And Najla, I wanted to ask you, because this is not your typical platform, if people want to find you, how would they reach out to you? And can you even tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure. Well, well, first and foremost, I am a freelance makeup artist. I've been a professional makeup artist for over 15 years. So I do use social media to do tutorials and online makeup classes, and really just inspire confidence through beauty, and education through beauty as well. I also work in direct sales for a beauty and skincare company called Unique, and I'm in the top 2% of the company. So I'm a top leader with them. So I lead a very large group of women, which is also very empowering and inspiring. So I'm trying to stay focused on all of that empowerment. And if anyone wanted to find me, my social media handle for Instagram is at Ottawa Glam Girl, OTTAWAGLAMGIRL. And on Facebook, my business page is also Ottawa Glam Girl.
Okay, awesome. And then I will get those links from you emailed to me, and then I will put those in the show notes as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Najla. I appreciate it.